Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Buckle Up, It's the Law. Folks, today we are going to be doing, once again, a top 5 video, a top 5 recap. Today is Sunday, May 17th, 2025. Another week in the books. Unfortunately, we only have 4 days of testimony to choose from because there was no trial on Tuesday, May 13th, due to some sort of illness. So, doesn't matter. We still have our usual top 5 greatest moments from the trial for you all right here, right now. And I cannot wait to show them to you. So, folks, without further ado, here are the top 5 Karen Read jury trial moments from the trial in Norfolk County, Massachusetts, May 12th to the 16th, 2025. Let's go.
Do you recall preparing a report for the iPhone belonging to Jenn McCabe dated December 2020?
Here we go.
I do, yes.
Haslong.
And in that report, you discussed your views of a Google search of House Long to Die in the Cold, correct?
Correct.
And in that report, you rendered various conclusions about that Google search, correct?
Correct.
And you rendered various conclusions about what is called a timestamp.
Correct.
And the timestamp that was in question was 2:27:40 a.m. on January 29th on Jenn McCabe's phone, correct?
Correct.
And the question that you were looking at is that timestamp that appeared in the data, that timestamp of 2:27:40 a.m., whether that belongs to the Google search, House Long to Die in the Cold, correct?
Correct.
And you testified yesterday with regard to that very issue, correct?
Correct.
Now, in your report of December 2024, you discussed the hash value of that cell phone, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Yesterday, in your direct testimony, you didn't mention anything about the hash value with regard to Jenn McCabe's phone, did you?
Not in my testimony, no.
The answer is no, correct? No. However,
Why is that important?
isn't it correct that in your report of December 2024, you had an issue with the hash value from the data from that phone?
Wait. December 2024, he had an issue? 5 months after the trial was over, he suddenly had an issue with the hash value? Why? How? Let's keep watching.
I didn't have an issue with the hash value at all, no.
So
His voice is cracking.
you didn't note that it was not possible with the gray key extraction as the PDF containing the extraction hash value that it was unsigned? That was not an issue in your report?
The hash value matches, but because I didn't do the extraction, I'm unable to actually validate that was an original hash and hadn't been modified.
Exactly. So you didn't do the extraction, but you couldn't validate the hash value, could you?
No.
So
Milk carton's
you
open.
couldn't determine whether or not any of the data on that cell phone of Jenn McCabe had been tampered with, correct?
I take a holistic view of the data and try to find anomalies.
He's weaseling his way. For the first time, he's just like, wait. That's not... I know I said that before, but, hear me out. Hear me out, bro. Listen. It's not all cut and dry. Oh my god, this is so good.
See any that raised any flags?
That wasn't my question, sir.
Okay.
I'll try it a different way.
He's getting the right answer. Watch. Watch this. Oh my god, this is about to be amazing. I'm predicting
You
this.
concluded that the hash value was unsigned, correct?
Correct. They were always unsigned. Okay, apologies.
You concluded that the hash value was unsigned, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. And you went on, did you not, in your report, to say that this hash value could be used as a suggestion of authentication, but cannot be guaranteed 100%, correct?
Correct.
Did you discuss any of that doubt, that suggestion of authentication but can't be guaranteed 100% at all in your direct testimony yesterday?
I didn't know.
Oh, so you never told us that there are holes in your box. Why didn't you? Because you're being dishonest, you're being deceitful. Now the jury's scratching their heads going, so everything the guy said is BS? To quote my cousin Vinny and Joe Pesci, everything that guy said is bull.
And again, hash values are very important concepts for data forensic examiners, correct?
For integrity, yes.
Do you know the chain of custody of Jenn McCabe's iPhone?
I don't know.
Oh.
So you don't know the chain of custody of her iPhone. You have an unsigned hash value, and you can't guarantee
100% accuracy.
the hash value authentication, correct?
No.
The objection's overruled.
Not from the hash value, no.
From other stuff, yes. He's gonna say. Or he wanted to say, I should say. Oh god, this is so good. Alessi is a beast. Just not letting them go. And now letting it marinate. Oh, it's beautiful. He's using all the tactics of a good defense lawyer. Now, see, this whole time that he's he knows where he is. He knows where to go. He's letting the jury process. Because this is, I mean, you and I need to process this. Because this is above our pay grade. You know what I'm saying? Hash values and all of that. So the jury is now thinking, he's given them time to process the whole point of the fact that everything you testified to yesterday is tainted now, because now you admitted that it doesn't have certainty. And yesterday you made it sound like it's got certainty. So why should we trust, even if you did say anything truthful yesterday, Mr. Whiffen, says the jury, why should we believe that? If you lied about this, what else did you lie about? You see what I mean? How it begins to unravel? Yeah, Ian Whiffen is very unimpressed. Let's keep watching.
Let's go back to the 22740 timestamp and the question of whether that timestamp is associated with a Google search, house long to die in the cold. You understand.
I love how Alessi, as he enunciates it, he says house long. He doesn't say house long like the rest of us. He adds a W. House long to die in the cold. It's like a silent W. House long to die in the cold. It's kind of funny.
There is a dispute as to whether that search was performed at 2:27:40 a.m. as the timestamp states, or whether that was performed later in the morning, say around 6:23 a.m., correct?
Correct.
You understand there's a dispute.
Yes.
And do you understand that the defense asserts that that timestamp means what it says, the Google search occurred at 2:27:40 a.m.?
We're going to allow it.
Yeah, why?
Understand that?
I do.
I didn't hear your answer, sir.
I understand.
You understand that?
Yes.
So today Brennan is trying his best at the, Your Honor, this really hurts my case objections, and so far he's 0 for 2. Alessi is crushing it. Let's keep going.
There are various data forensic tools, are there not, to evaluate what is called an artifact, this timestamp, correct?
Correct.
And those data forensic tools include Celebrite tools, your company's tools.
Yes.
And some of those Celebrite tools are called Physical Analyzer.
Correct.
And then you have another tool, I believe, called Insights.
Insights is a suite that includes Physical Analyzer.
Okay.
But yes.
So it's Insights is a
It's
suite.
essentially the same tool.
Essentially the same tool. So does Insight, well, essentially, but they're two different tools, correct?
They're two different versions of the same tool.
Thank you. Two different versions of the same tool.
Yes.
As you testify here today, you have no information that the lab at Good Samaritan Hospital is an accredited lab, correct?
Correct.
So basically, you cannot personally vouch for the ethanol testing that was performed at Good Samaritan, correct?
That's accurate. The reliability of the results that my calculations were based on, my calculations are only as good as the numbers that I was provided.
At least she
and
admits it. She
like I said-
admits the whole garbage in, garbage out. If I get faulty numbers, I'm gonna give you a faulty result. Wow, that an expert that actually is not a total sham.
But the results that I started from, I don't have any direct knowledge on their accuracy or reliability.
And you're unfamiliar with the standards at Good Samaritan Hospital, correct?
Correct. I have no direct knowledge of their accreditation status or requirements or body.
And you know that they were the ones to do the blood draw in this case, correct?
That's consistent with the medical records I had available for review prior to preparing my report.
And you cannot vouch for that ethanol testing, correct?
No, she can't.
Correct. I have no direct knowledge of the accuracy or reliability. My calculations are solely based on the results of the Good Samaritan lab.
For instance, you don't know how the arm was prepared when the blood was drawn?
Correct. I was not present, and I have no knowledge of the policies and procedures of blood draw at Good Samaritan Hospital.
You can't vouch for the tubes and vials that Good Samaritan uses?
Correct. I cannot.
You can't vouch for how Good Samaritan stores, preserves, and assures the integrity of its equipment, correct?
Correct. I have no direct knowledge of those topics.
At your lab, you do both a screening test and a confirmatory test, correct?
Yes, that's accurate.
In this case, your lab did not do any confirmatory testing, correct?
My lab did not have samples submitted for this individual to perform testing on.
You know of no confirmatory testing that was done by Good Samaritan, correct?
I don't know what their policies and procedures are, and if the results on the report were the results of confirmatory testing or otherwise.
You just have to assume the accuracy of the testing that they did do, correct?
And by the way, hospitals don't do confirmatory testing, and she knows it. She's trying to weasel out to give like the best Albert answer that she can to protect them. This is starting to become a theme, folks.
The results that were reported on the medical records provided to perform
It has
calculations.
been a theme for a while, but it's even more
And you
now.
cannot testify that the testing done at Good Samaritan meets your accreditation standards, correct?
Correct.
Your lab does whole blood testing, does it not?
If whole blood is submitted for a case, then we will test whole blood. If serum or plasma is the only available sample appropriate for testing, then we will proceed with testing on serum or plasma.
Whole blood testing leads to more accurate readings of the percentage of alcohol in somebody's blood, correct?
Correct. If you would like to know the percentage of alcohol in someone's blood, the best sample to test would be their blood.
The whole
Many
blood.
hospitals, including Good Samaritan, use a different method of testing than whole blood testing, correct?
Yes.
Good Samaritan uses serum or plasma testing as opposed to whole blood testing.
I'm not familiar
Yes.
with their
Yes, they do.
specific technique or methodology. I haven't undergone training for their methods, but it is my understanding that the type of sample used for their method is serum or plasma.
So a lab like Good Samaritan's, that in this case did serum or plasma testing, will therefore provide results of blood alcohol concentration that are higher than what the true blood alcohol concentrations are, correct?
The serum alcohol or plasma alcohol concentrations that they report on their medical records would be higher than the corresponding blood alcohol concentration. That's correct.
The conversion from serum to whole blood did not end the calculations that you needed to do in order to testify here today, correct?
Correct.
You were asked to try to find out what her blood alcohol level would have been 7 or 8 hours earlier, closer to midnight or sometime between midnight and 1 a.m., correct?
The time utilized for my calculations was 12:45 a.m.
So you started with the results that you obtained from your serum to whole blood conversion, right?
Yes.
Which was an imprecise calculation?
Yes.
Which was intending to cover the majority of population.
Or was it
and
imprecise?
It followed the policies and procedures of my laboratory.
What was the precise number then? Was there a precise number, or
No.
was it imprecise?
It was imprecise because you have to calculate.
The range?
It's a range.
I'm not talking about a range. I know that you'd like to say that. Was there a precise number, ma'am?
Yes or no? No. The answer is no.
The results of my report
Oh my
was
God.
not a single number.
There you go.
It is a range of numbers.
There you go.
Let's move on, Ms. Jenn.
Yes.
What do you mean
In this
move
case,
on?
you assume
The witness
that-
is not answering my question in the way that she needs to answer her question because that's the answer that not I'm looking for. It's the truth, Judge. Give me a moment.
Ms.
Jeez.
Reed's last drink was at 12:45 a.m., correct?
No. The calculation assumed for the maximum calculation that no alcohol had been consumed between 1.5 and 2 hours prior to that time interval start at 12:45 a.m.
Okay. And the test wasn't until 9:08 a.m.?
Yes.
The range that you came up with was 0.14 to 0.28%, correct?
That's
Yes.
insane.
0.14 to 0.28 grams percent.
And
Oh
that was
my
a very
God.
wide range, was
That's
it
a
not?
huge
certainly is.
margin.
0.28 is double 0.14.
Yep.
And that range is so wide because there are a lot of unknowns about the way each person individually processes alcohol, correct?
There's a lot of interpersonal differences. That's correct.
There are a lot of different factors that would impact somebody's blood alcohol content, correct?
Yes.
You have no personal knowledge of when Ms. Reed had her last drink, correct?
Correct.
Were you informed that Ms. Reed was upset after 12:45 a.m. when you were doing these calculations?
I don't believe so.
Did you know, were you informed that she went to John O'Keefe's house in Canton and was the only adult in the house at that time after 12:45?
Assisting.
Are you aware of what type of alcohol John O'Keefe had available in his house at that time?
Assisting.
Were you aware that she was waiting for John O'Keefe to come home, but he never did?
Assisting.
Do you have any personal knowledge of whether Ms. Reed poured herself a drink during the hours of 12:45 a.m. and 6 a.m. on January 29th of 2022?
No, I do not.
And by the way, when all those objects sustained, Yannetti knew exactly what he was doing. He knew that this is not admissible stuff. This is good lawyer work. You're talking to the jury. You don't care what the witness says, what the judge says, what the prosecutor says. You're like, jury, I have something to tell you.
Know whether she had more than one drink during those hours?
No, I do not.
Were you ever asked to determine the blood alcohol level of Brian Albert?
No.
Were you ever asked to determine the blood alcohol level of Brian Higgins?
Assisting.
Were you asked to determine the blood alcohol level of anyone except for Karen Reed in this case?
I'll allow that.
To the best of my knowledge, my only involvement with this case in my unit was the request to perform these calculations on this individual.
Thank you. You were closest to the black SUV of the people that were in your vehicle as you passed it, correct?
Correct, sir, yes.
And you were closest to the driver's side of the black SUV, correct?
Correct, sir.
You noticed that the interior dome light was on, correct?
That's correct, sir.
That lit up the whole front compartment of the SUV, did it not?
Yes.
It lit up the driver's seat and the passenger seat, correct?
All I could see was the driver at the time, sir.
Understood. But the light wasn't just shining just on the driver. It wasn't pointed at the driver.
I would say they were both lights that go down on both seats, correct? They were on.
Yes. Okay. So you could see both seats in the front driver's
I
compartment.
couldn't
correct?
see past the woman.
Well, you only saw one
I only
person.
saw a woman. Sorry to interrupt you. Yes.
No problem. It allowed you to see into that front compartment.
Yes.
All right. And you saw one person inside the car at that time.
Correct, sir.
It was a woman with long hair in the driver's seat, correct?
Correct, sir.
And she looked like she was alone.
Yes.
You didn't see anybody else in the SUV.
No, I did not, sir.
You certainly didn't see a 6'1" man in the SUV in the passenger seat, correct?
Correct, sir.
In fact, you saw that the passenger seat was empty.
Correct.
The woman in the passenger seat was staring straight ahead, correct?
Not in the passenger seat. She
I'm
was
sorry,
in the driver's seat.
thank you for catching that. The woman in the driver's seat was staring straight ahead.
That is correct, sir.
You didn't see her lips moving as if she were talking, correct?
I wasn't looking for that.
But
Just
you
happened
did-
to see a woman figure with her hands like this.
Okay. Facing straight.
Correct, sir.
You had no music on in Ricky's truck at that time, correct?
No, sir.
Ricky had turned the music down when Julie came out so that you could speak.
So if John was not in the car and he's not outside, he's in the house. This is crucial testimony. Crucial for the jury. Absolutely essential.
Speak to her, correct?
That is correct, sir.
And when you got close to that SUV while you were passing it, you didn't hear any arguing there, correct?
Correct.
You didn't hear any yelling, correct?
No, I did not.
You didn't hear any screaming?
No, I did not.
You heard no noises within that SUV at all?
No, I did not, sir.
You testified that you didn't see anybody get out of the SUV or approach the house, correct?
Correct.
You obviously don't know what did or didn't happen before you, Ricky, and Ryan arrived there, correct?
Correct.
While you were parked near the driveway, you weren't thinking that you had to watch the SUV every second in case you were later asked to describe what was going on with that vehicle, correct?
Correct.
And that SUV was the same vehicle that you recognize as previously having a female driving and a male in the passenger seat, correct?
Correct.
And as far as you know, you didn't know either of them at that time?
No.
Fair to
You
say
do
that
now.
What they were doing was their business and you weren't particularly interested in what they were doing, correct?
Correct.
You were there to pick up your boyfriend's sister, correct?
Yes.
It was late and you were tired.
Very much so, yes.
You'd had a good amount to drink. Mm-hmm. You did not want to continue to drink and socialize, correct?
Correct.
Fair to say you were looking forward to ending the night at that point?
Yes.
And so you were more focused on hopefully getting Julie in the car so you could leave than anything that was going on in the SUV, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, she has a boo-boo on her finger.
Then Julie came out, and it wasn't as simple as her just jumping in the vehicle and leaving, correct?
Correct.
There had to be a discussion,
Right.
right? And she came out to speak to the three of you for about 5 minutes or so,
I'd say.
like a back and forth about who's going where.
Yeah.
And when Ricky was pulling away, you looked over to the SUV and you saw that the interior light was lighting up the front compartment, correct?
Correct.
And it was then that you looked over and you saw a female in the driver's seat, correct?
Yes.
You did not see any person in the passenger seat, correct?
Correct.
And you certainly did not see...
Wait. What was that pause? There was like she looked at the audience like correct. What was that? I want to see that again.
Female in the driver's seat, correct?
Yes.
You did not see any person in the passenger seat, correct?
Correct.
And you certainly did not see a 6-foot-tall off-duty police officer in the SUV at any point on Fairview Road.
Correct.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything, Mr. Brennan?
She can't wait to go home.
When Ricky was speaking to Julie and you were in the back cabin of the truck, what direction were you facing?
I don't recall.
Were you paying attention to the conversation with Julie?
I was probably in and out of the conversation, yes.
Were you facing the direction of the house in the SUV, or were you facing the opposite direction?
I don't think I was facing the opposite.
When you were in the cabin of the car and Ricky was having a conversation with Julie, did you ever see anybody other than Julie come in or out of the house?
No.
I'll allow it.
No further questions. Thank you.
She looked so panicked. I wonder if she's like, did I say something wrong? Did you see anybody go in and out of the house? Because John was already in the house. Mm-hmm.
You've been longtime friends, as you've described, with Brian Albert Jr., going all the way back to high school.
Yes.
And that high school friendship has percolated into a friendship into adulthood.
Yes.
You obviously know much of the entire immediate family, Brian Albert Sr., his wife Nicole Albert, correct?
Yes.
You know his uncle Chris Albert.
Yes.
You're familiar with his wife, Julie Albert.
Yes.
Obviously, Brian Albert and his cousins. By the way, which cousins are they? Last names.
Do I know?
Right.
There's the Alberts, and then there's the Galvins, the Reardons, and the McCabes.
Okay. You indicated that you've been to the Albert home probably at 34 Fairview. That's the home I'm talking about.
Yes.
Probably you estimated at least 20 times, correct?
Over the years, yes.
Over the years. And you've known Brian Albert since high school. I mean, in the last 8, 10, 12 years, you've been to the house to and from.
Yes.
You've never met, or you had never met, going into January 29th, 2022. You had never met their dog, had you?
Their dog?
Their dog.
I'm not completely sure.
Didn't you testify about a year ago in another proceeding that although you had been to the Albert home many times, you had never actually met the dog?
If that's what it says I said, then yes.
Okay,
Is that because the dog was not really good with strangers?
Objection.
Sistine.
Do you know why you hadn't met Chloe? By the way, did you know the dog's name was Chloe?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know why you hadn't met Chloe in all those trips to 34 Fairview?
No.
Just wasn't out and about among the folks that were in the house when you were there.
Yes.
Oh my God. I just had another thought. Chloe is not good with strangers because Brian Albert has been training her secretly to use as his personal attack dog in case he needs some sort of protection. Now that's a theory. Oh my God. All dogs are great with strangers, for the most part, let's be honest. Unless you are training the dog to be your own personal attack dog, and anybody who's not familia is dangerous, even including the McCabes. Maybe it's time to stop calling them the McAlberts and just calling them the Alberts and focus in, because the Mc actually turns out to be a distraction. The McCabes, yeah, they had their hand in it clearly, but there's something specifically about the Albert family, and we need to zero in on Brian Albert and his progeny. What does Brian have? He's got something.
I want to change gears again, if I could, and ask you about a dog. You're aware that the Alberts, Nicole Albert, Brian Albert, had a dog that they named Chloe on on January 28th, 29th of 2022, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow the question. Were you aware of that?
At what point in time, sir?
January 28th, 29th, that area.
Was I aware that they owned a dog on January 28th or 29th?
No. Are you aware now that on January 28th or 29th, they owned a dog? There was a dog in the house.
Now I am aware, yes.
Okay. During the course of your investigation, you learned that, correct?
Yes.
During the course of your investigation, did you also become aware that the Alberts got rid of their family dog?
Objection.
I'm going to see you at sidebar on this, please.
Sure. I think I forgot where I left off. May I, Your Honor? Yes. Thank you.
The dog
Sergeant,
Jackson.
At some point during the course of your investigation, did you learn that the Albert family had gotten rid of the dog named Chloe?
We learned that they no longer cared for the dog. I don't know if get rid of is accurate.
Well, they don't have it.
They no longer cared for the dog. See, choice of words is everything, because that's where the subconscious reveals itself, typically, when a person is lying like this. And since we all know he's lying, it makes the job easy. You don't have to decipher, like, is this one the lie? Like, they no longer cared for the dog. It's very revealing, because we all know that the Alberts needed to get rid of the dog because they were afraid that the dog's teeth might be checked against John's arm. And since if you watch the last video, you know that I came to the conclusion that there's a reason Chloe was not good with strangers. And again, let me know in the comments below as you subscribe when you roll past it. Let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree with this theory. I'm curious what the people have to say about this. That Chloe was not good with strangers because, very simply, Brian Albert was training her to be his like personal attack dog, like a weapon. He was training Chloe as a weapon. That's why she was not good. Like dogs, even German Shepherds. I've met German Shepherds. They are amazing animals. And they are very friendly if you train them right, if you teach them right, if you treat them right. And Mechanic saying they didn't care for the dog at some point is very revealing, because they're like, yeah, we don't care about Chloe. We need to get rid of her. It's a little revealing. I may be stretching it out here, honestly. I'm not going to lie. I know my limits as well. But it just feels like he knows. Obviously, he knows. And it wasn't like a Freudian slip or anything, but it definitely is a little telling about the Albert's state of mind at the time they got rid of Chloe. That's just my opinion. Let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree. Because I may just be like too much of a stretch here.
What would you call it?
Giving it up for adoption, I guess? I don't know. I'm not a pet owner.
Yeah, I'm not a pet owner. That tells me everything I need to know about Buchanan. I know a lot of people don't have pets, but some people just won't be able to have pets. And the fact that Buchanan doesn't have a pet is also very telling. And I get it. Like, if you don't have a pet, don't feel bad. I'm not going to be like, you are a sociopath if you don't know. Like, no, I'm not one of those people. But, like, just the fact that he certainly doesn't. I don't think any of these people have pets, honestly. And not a single person who testifies, I don't think, has a pet. I would bet money that only like 5% of the prosecution's witnesses are pet owners. Who wants to take that bet? I'll put $5. I'll put $5. Would you take that bet? Let me know in the comments below.
I'm sorry?
What if they didn't give it up for adoption?
Rehomed, I guess.
Okay. So it's no longer with him, right?
Correct. They no longer own the dog.
Okay, so they got rid of it. It's like you get rid of a car, right?
He doesn't want to admit it.
Right?
You can get rid of a car, yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God.
And you can get rid of a dog. That's all I'm asking.
Yes, you can get rid of a dog, yes.
Okay.
There you go. Good
At some
boy.
point during the course of your investigation, did you find out that the Albert family got rid of Chloe?
We learned that they no longer owned Chloe, yes.
Okay. When did you learn that?
Timeline. I wish you could probably like sit there and look. Where's Jennifer? Line. Jen. Where's the timeline? Line. What am I supposed to say here? Like in a movie. Oh, I amuse myself.
I cannot tell you exactly. I can tell you when we looked into it officially.
When did you look into it officially?
I traveled to the dog's home and assisted with identifying the dog and investigating that animal.
Okay.
When?
What documentation did you use to identify?
Didn't he literally just say, I can tell you when, and then he never did? Unless I missed it. I'm sorry. This is...
That
I just can't. I want to get through this.
It was veterinary records.
I want to stop you there. Veterinary records from whom? From the Albert family? When they...
I did not get any veterinary records from the Albert family.
The veterinary records that you did get were veterinary records that had been utilized with the Albert name? Where were these veterinary records?
The veterinary records were with the vet that's caring for the dog and also owns the dog now.
Okay.
Wait,
And
whoa.
those
This is new information. The vet owns the dog now? Is the vet going to testify? Yeah, Chloe is mine. Here, would you like me to bring Chloe into court? I'll bring her to court. She's not good with strangers still, or maybe she is now that I've treated her properly. I don't know. I'm curious.
Also had been dated prior to when the dog was owned by the Alberts.
Okay. So, other than some veterinary records that, and by the way, the dog's not even named Chloe, correct?
The new owners renamed the dog, yes.
Cora?
That's correct. Yes.
And the new owners did not get that dog from Brian and Nicole Albert, did they?
No, they did not.
They got it from a separate person. Is that right?
That is correct.
Separate person named Riley?
That's her last name, yes.
What?
And did this person Riley have any records showing purchase of Chloe or adoption of Chloe from the Alberts?
No.
It's a different dog. It's a different dog. It's a different dog. There's no paper trail. There's no chain of custody of the weapon. I'm sorry, the dog that Brian owned. And they named her something very similar to Chloe, Clora, to make it seem like, oh yeah, that's Chloe 2.0. Well, it literally is Chloe 2.0. It's a brand new dog. It's a brand new dog. I'm convinced.
Could you play the voice message at 12:41:30?
Thank you to the trial channel for muting that slightly. Shout out to them. They're doing a great job cutting this up. That's her probably walking into the house. Karen walking into John's house.
The defendant then texts John O'Keefe at 12:55:31 a.m. on the 29th, "I'm going home."
She's going home to like her home probably.
The defendant texts John O'Keefe, "See you later," at 12:55:50 a.m. on the 29th. At 12:58:19 a.m., the defendant calls John. It's not answered. 12:58:47 a.m., the defendant calls John. It's not answered.
18 now.
12:59:24 a.m., the defendant calls John. Voicemail number 3 is left with voice.
John, I'm here with your fucking kids. Nobody knows what the fuck you want, you fucking pervert.
Because she thinks he's with another woman at the Albert's home. Makes sense.
At
I
1
get her.
a.m. and 26 seconds,
Hell hath no fury than a woman scorned.
the defendant calls John. It's not answered. At 1 a.m. 49 seconds, the defendant calls John. Voicemail number 4 is left. It's 1 second called, no sound.
Ms. Gilman?
That was it.
This is so exculpatory. It's unbelievable how exculpatory this is.
The defendant texts John O'Keefe, "Your kids are cucking alone," at 1:02 a.m. on the 29th. Defendant texts John O'Keefe, "I'm back in Mansfield. The kids are home alone," 1:04:14 a.m. on the 29th.
23 now. Think about her state of mind, how angry she is. Think about how angry Karen is at this point. To the point where she calls him 23 times so far, and we're not done yet, leaving 5 voicemails. 3 of them are actually, I think, voicemails so far.
At 1:10:17 a.m., the defendant calls John. Voicemail number 5 is left with voice.
Ms. Gilman?
Yeah, it's 1 in the morning. I'm with your fucking niece and nephew. You fucking pervert. You're a fucking pervert.
Because she thinks he's in with another woman. What else is he going to be doing?
At
He's ignoring her.
1:10:44 a.m., the defendant calls John. It's not answered.
What else would he be
At
doing?
1:12:18 a.m., the defendant calls John. It's not answered.
Hitting on another woman.
1:12:46 a.m., the defendant calls John. It's not answered. 1:13:13 a.m., the defendant calls John. Not answered.
28 now.
Sorry. At 1:14:11 a.m., the defendant calls John. It's not answered. 1:14:44 a.m., the defendant calls John. Not answered. 1:16:10 a.m., the defendant calls John. Not answered. 1:16:38 a.m., the defendant calls John. Not answered. At 1:17:37 a.m., the defendant calls John. So when voicemail 6 is left with voice.
Ms. Gilman?
John, I'm going home. I cannot babysit in these. I need to go home. You are fucking using me right now. You're fucking another girl. Kim's sleeping next to me. You're a fucking loser. Fuck yourself.
Yep. I mean, this is the most exculpatory piece of evidence I think Karen Reed has, and the prosecutor is handing it to the jury on a silver platter. This is unbelievable. This is like, does Brennan really think that this helps his case? She sounds so genuine. She sounds frustrated. She sounds upset. I don't get it.
At 1:18:38 a.m., the defendant calls John, not answered. At 4:38:14 a.m., the defendant calls John, not answered. 4:38:49 a.m., the defendant calls John, not answered. 4:39:39 a.m., the defendant calls John, not answered. 4:40:05 a.m., the defendant calls John, not answered. 4:42:05 a.m., the
38.
defendant calls John, not answered.
38 times.
4:42:54 a.m., the defendant calls John.
A guilty person doesn't call someone 38 times and leaves angry voicemails like this, folks. That's just not possible. It's not feasible.
Not answered. 4:45:10 a.m., the defendant
She got
calls
3
John.
hours of sleep.
Not answered.
3 hours of sleep.
5:04:27
She couldn't sleep because she was worried where John was and why he's not taking care of his own children. That is an innocent mind, folks.
a.m., the defendant calls John.
If
Not
I've ever
answered.
seen one.
5:21:28 a.m., the defendant calls John. Not answered. 5:21:58 a.m.,
43.
the defendant calls John. Not answered. 5:23:26 a.m., the defendant calls John. Voicemail number 7 is left with voice.
Ms. Gilman?
John, I got you.
At 5:24:27 a.m., the
I got
defendant calls
chills.
John. Not answered. 5:25:28 a.m., the defendant calls John. Not answered. 5:26:14 a.m., the defendant calls John. Not answered.
48.
5:28:16 a.m., the defendant calls John. Not answered. 5:28:43 a.m., the defendant calls John. Not answered. 5:29:21 a.m., the defendant calls John. Not answered. 5:29:46 a.m.
How many times did Jennifer McCabe call John? 7, claiming every single one was a butt dial. This is already at 48 times with 7 voicemails, 5 of them viable. Think about it, folks.
The defendant calls John. Not answered. 5:30:15 a.m., the defendant calls John. Not answered. 5:30:52 a.m.,
52.
the defendant calls John. Not
52
answered.
times!
5:31:21
She called him in a 6-hour
The
period.
defendant calls John. Not answered. 5:36:29 a.m., the defendant calls John. Not answered. 6:03:02 a.m., the defendant calls John, and voicemail number 8 is left with some voice and noise and background.
Ms. Gilman, could you play that, please?
I hear windshield wipers.
Yes, I need someone to come to 34th Yearby Road, Vietnam. There's a man passed out in the snow.
I think that's Jenn McCabe.
Yeah, I don't know why he did that. I can put that. Okay, I know. Where's the blanket? I don't see blanket, Terry. Yes, I need some.
Karen's just screaming in the background. Jen is calm, cool, and collected because everything went according to plan. Kill John, dump him on the front lawn. Whew. The only only person panicking this entire time is Karen, because she's the only one on the outside of the murder plan. She's an outsider.
John is 46 years old. I don't know. He got out of the car and it could be an accident. Carrie? I don't.
Karen's voicemails exonerate her. Karen's screaming exonerates her. Karen's consistent calls, 52 in total, exonerate her. Everything exonerates her. Everything.
I know, I'm on the phone with the ambulance. I know, honey, I know.
It's good that John's voicemail doesn't cut off at the 2-minute mark like a lot of voicemails these days.
I have no further questions.
All right, Alessi.
All right. Mr. Alessi, does this seem like a good time to take the luncheon recess?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
The Commonwealth moves into evidence and asks to play clip 18.
Okay.
So when John got out of the car at Brian Albert's house, he took my full wine and soda, which is sitting in the cup holder.
All right, your next witness.
One more, please, Your Honor. The Commonwealth moves into evidence and seeks to play clip number 17, please.
Okay.
I gave an interview with ABC with Matt Gutman. I think this was whom I gave the interview to, and I said, he asked why was I saying, could I hit him, did I hit him? And I said, yeah, my first thought was, I've been out late, I've been drinking, and he's in the general vicinity of where I last saw him. I mean, they talk about the left side of the property and the right as if it's, Hammersmith Farms. It's a postage stamp. It's 50 feet. So he's in the front yard to the left of the front door, and no one's coming out of the house. Jen's telling me nobody's seen him. So I'm thinking, Jesus, was I starting to pull away and I ran over his foot? Like, he's roughly where I left him. So yeah, when I found him, I was thinking, did I clip him somehow?
Okay, can we finish the clip?
Yes.
Why?
I'd like to introduce clip 1.
Why are you showing partial clips? The defense is going to have a field day playing the rest of these clips.
It does.
Do you remember this email chain?
I remember seeing it when I reviewed it. I don't remember the intricate details of these messages.
Do you remember that photograph?
Of course you don't.
I don't.
You don't want to.
Could you turn the page?
Because they're
It's
really,
the
really
text.
bad.
Yes, there is.
Without citing the phone numbers, I'd like you to cite the author of the text, and I'd like you to read the text to the jury.
There it is.
Do you want me to date it in time or no?
Sure.
August 17th, 2022, 9:44 p.m., 25 seconds. Funny, I am going through his retarded client's phone.
I'd like you to read all of them, please.
Next one, no nudes so far. I hate that man. I truly hate him.
Hey, can you give the author for each comment? And can you start again, because I want us to understand.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
The author, whoever makes the comment, I'd like to have the name of the author.
I'm sorry, this document does not identify who the author is, sir.
It identifies this as your phone,
That is, yes.
but each comment doesn't identify who sent it.
No, it does not. I assume it's an extraction from one device, but
I see.
What game are they
If
playing?
you made any of the comments yourself, would you tell us?
if I made those comments?
No, if you make any of them in here as you read them, will you point out if you...
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
So now,
And if you don't know who made the comment, can you just identify that for us as you read it so we know?
Okay, do you want me to continue to the next page?
Why don't we start over, because
so remember in the first trial, it was the defense that got those comments out of Proctor on cross-examination. So it looked really, really, really bad because on direct examination, the prosecution never talked about them, never mentioned them, never hinted at them, nothing. And then the defense went in and boom, and it was very impactful, very impactful. Now the prosecution is trying to take away the oomph, take away the sting out of this whole exchange. And I'll be honest, it's a good strategy. Now, I don't know how well it's going to work because, again, the language is heinous and extremely inappropriate and unprofessional, and that is why he has been reprimanded and lost, as he stated, 5 vacation days, which in the first trial, I don't think he has been reprimanded yet by his authorities. But in the second trial, because Proctor has already been fired from MSP, Buchanan being his quote-unquote supervisor, even though I don't think he was his immediate supervisor. Maybe he was. Again, none of that matters because it was Proctor who did the investigation. He didn't have a supervisor for the duration of the investigation. Buchanan is just his supervisor, generally speaking. That's fine. Everybody's got a supervisor, you know. Even I have a supervisor. Everybody's got a supervisor out there somewhere. Judges have supervisors, you know, the SJQ, the Judicial Qualifications Committee, or the JQC, excuse me. They're all different in different states to make sure that judges follow their judicial canons. And we're waiting for the shoe to drop on Auntie Bev here sooner or later. But regardless, Brennan is trying to take the sting out by having Buchanan read the texts. They're not even identifying who the speaker is. Like, just ask him, do you know who the speaker is? Yes. Who was it? Proctor. They're dancing around it like a bunch of chickens.
Should have been more clear in my direction. Could you begin again?
So in the beginning, it says, funny, I am going through his retarded client's phone.
Is that your comment?
No, it is not.
Okay, next.
It appears to be the same person because of the way that the extraction happens, and it says no nudes so far. Again, I believe it's the same person because all of these are identified as sent. It says, I hate that man. I truly hate him.
Do you have any belief that's Michael Proctor who was writing these?
Yes, I believe that is.
There we go.
Next, please.
Aha. Okay, so they danced around it enough. Now we can actually reveal it.
There's a blank page, and that's the end.
Despicable.
Yes, sir.
And I don't understand. Is Brennan just going to let the jury marinate on this? Is that a good strategy? I don't know. I don't think it is. I mean, it might be. I honestly, I don't know. I don't know what his game plan is because it is impossible for me to get into Brennan's head because he's full of lies and deception. It's a lot easier when you know what the game plan is. But it's slowly starting to unravel what his game plan is, and I will get to the bottom of it. It will take me maybe a couple more weeks, maybe a little bit longer, but I'll share it with you as soon as I have a full synopsis of what I think Brennan's goal is. I mean, other than convicting Karen Reed, obviously that's obvious. He wants to convict Karen Reed. I don't think he'll be successful. I've already said it like 100 times over. I don't think he's going to be successful. The jury is going to acquit on a charge or two and hang on the other one again, probably. That's my guess, but we'll see. I'm still praying for a 3-charge acquittal.
Did you say you were Suspended 5 days or lost 5 days vacation?
Lost 5 days of vacation.
And have you continued on your cases?
Yes, I have.
Okay. All right. Well, folks, don't forget to subscribe. By the way, I think I forgot to say this. Let me know in the comments below if you think this helps kind of take the sting out of the fact that Proctor wrote those, or is the effect remains the same from the point of view of the new jurors who have no idea the first trial. Well, they know the first trial happened because it's been mentioned so many times in the second trial, but do we know, or do you think we know, that the jury is going to look at it and go, nudes, schmoods, who cares? She killed him. Or if the jurors are going to go, okay, this is important, so Mr. Proctor is biased because he's not Trooper Proctor anymore. We need to start calling him Mr. Proctor. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed these parts as much as I did when I was recording them in the moment. And I will definitely continue on releasing the top 5 moments every single week. And probably my goal is when we get to the end of the trial and the jury is going to be deliberating, we are going to do either a top 5 or maybe even a top 10 moments from the entire trial. So we're going to take all of the best moments and then some, and by then obviously it's going to be a whole different video because we still have tons of moments that haven't even happened yet. I mean, we got Brian Albert, Colin Albert, Ali McCabe, former disgraced Massachusetts State Police Trooper Proctor. You know, all of those people are still have yet to testify. And so by the time that they get on the stand, I guarantee there's going to be a moment from there that is going to make it into the top 10. We just don't know what it is yet because it hasn't happened yet. So I look forward to this, folks. And and Matthew McCabe. Oh, that doofus. Matthew McCabe is going to be definitely going to land in the top 10. I have no doubt about it. But who am I to tell? I can't predict the future. If I could, I'd be a trillionaire. I'd probably pass Elon Musk in financially. But anyway, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye, everybody.